Hi, I'm Les Blythe and welcome to Stress Free Tech, where I'll deliver all of the tech and none of the stress. I'll use my 30 plus years of experience of computers to help you solve the computer issues that bother you most. I'm here to help, and I really do understand how frustrating computer problems can be. Okay, in this video we'll look at a common problem. The problem is that your computer won't turn on. This happens a lot, so are you having issues turning on your computer? Don't panic, as I say, it's a common problem and there can be various causes. Some of them quite straightforward, some of them a little bit more complicated. But I'll walk you through everything step by step in this video, and let's look at what some of the possible causes could be if your computer won't start. So first things first, check the following. Now, is the CPU light blinking? Most computers, desktop computers and laptops have lights on them that blink if they're getting power to the system. So the first thing to check is, can you see any blinking lights? For example, the CPU light indicating that power is actually getting to the system. So check that first. Another thing to check at this stage is the case fan spinning. So on a desktop system there will be a case fan that spins, and you can quite clearly hear the fan spinning if the unit is getting power. Similarly on a laptop there's a fan included with the laptop, and you can clearly hear if the fan is spinning or not. So listen closely to your unit and see if the fan is spinning. Now, did you also hear any kind of beep sound? Again, a good indication that power is coming to the system and it's receiving power but obviously not responding because it's not turning on. Is the monitor light on? Can you see anything on the screen? Look at the screen, examine the screen. If the screen is blank, it could be an indication that power is not getting to the system at all. So next thing to do, check the screen and then move on from there. Okay, if you followed the steps I gave you previously, the next thing to do is check the power cord is properly connected. So first of all, check at the PC end of your power cord, or the end that's attached to your laptop, and make sure it's snugly connected. Similarly, check the other end. Is it connected correctly to a power outlet? And is the outlet actually switched on? You'd be surprised how many times the problem is simply that the power outlet has been switched off and you're not aware that either you've done it or someone else has done it, and there's actually no power to the machine at all. Obviously if it's disconnected, then connect it properly, and it must not be loose. So check at both ends, at the computer end and at the wall end, that it's snugly connected. Now, is the plug properly wired, or has a wire worked loose? This can be a tricky one that you may not spot right away, but if you don't have the normal molded plug attached to your laptop or your desktop, just check the wiring, because it could be that a wire over time has worked its way loose. Now, if this is your first time visiting Stress Free Tech, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that I can provide you with more help in future videos to solve the tech problems you worry about most. Okay, let's look at some more power cord issues, because when a machine doesn't turn on, very often it's power to the machine that's the problem. So the next thing to do, if you follow the previous steps, is to visually check the power cord for damage. It may be that the power cord has become damaged, it may have got pinched or cut in some ways, and that would mean that the power is not getting through to your laptop or your desktop. So have a visual inspection of the power cord itself, just in case there's anything going on there that could cause the problem. Another idea is to try using another power cord that you know is in working condition, so thereby isolating the possibility of your power cord itself being the problem. If you don't have a power cord, why not ask a family friend, a friend or neighbour if you can borrow one, just to quickly test to see if that's what's causing the problem. Borrowing one is better than buying a new one, especially if you don't need it, but if you can't borrow one, then you're going to have to buy a new one just to test if that is the problem with your machine. Alright, now next, a couple of things to consider if you're using a power strip or a UPS. The first thing to do is disconnect your computer from the power cord or the UPS and connect it directly to a wall outlet. This will help rule out a failure with either the power strip or the UPS if you are using one. Still not working? then try connecting to a different socket or outlet. It could be that the socket itself is faulty and not supplying power to your machine. If the power cable is working and you can't find any damage to it, and you've checked another power outlet, etc., it's time to check the power supply itself. Now, if you check on the back of your system unit, you may find a power supply button that needs to be switched on. That may have got switched off accidentally. So check on the back. You usually won't find a power supply button on a laptop, but just double check in case there's something that's been switched off. Again, check, is the button on or off? Make sure there are no other buttons that are turned off. Some system units can have various buttons on them which, even though you may not know what they're for, they may have inadvertently got switched off. So check other power buttons or any other buttons on the back of the system and make sure they're turned on and haven't been turned off by mistake. If the power buttons are turned on and there's no obvious indication that one has been turned off by mistake, it might well be the power supply itself which is damaged. So the next step is only really if you're happy and confident to open up the case of your computer. We're particularly talking about the desktop now, to check if the power supply is or has somehow become disconnected. So the first thing to check is the power supply fan running. That will give you an idea if there's actually power getting to the power supply and the cooling fan is running. It may be that the power supply leads are not connected properly to the motherboard inside the system unit. So as always, just check all connections, make sure that everything is snugly connected inside. Also, there could be a problem with the power supply, particularly if you've fitted a new one recently, that the power supply doesn't meet the power requirements of your system correctly. So in this case, you'll have to have a look at the specs and just make sure the power supply in there is adequate for the job and it's doing its work properly. The power supply leads may have become disconnected, so again, check everything in there, everything is securely seated and connected as it should be. And the power supply lead must be connected firmly to the hard drive. Again, these are only things to check if you're competent and happy to open up your system unit and have a look. If that's not the case, then obviously at this point you'll have to take it to a specialist who can help you. Another good step to take is to check any third-party hardware for any possible malfunction. So in other words, have you recently connected any new third-party hardware to your computer or laptop? Have you made a change to it that's causing the problem and causing a malfunction where it may not turn on? So obviously disconnect all recent additions of hardware to your system and see if that makes a difference. And also just try to turn your system on with basic hardware configuration, just to check out if it could be recent hardware or something that you've done differently to your computer that's causing the problem. Always take a step back if you've changed anything, just to see if you can get to the root of what's going on and causing the issue. Okay, so the final thing we'll look at in this video is relative specifically to a laptop, and that's the possibility that your laptop battery may be damaged. First thing to do, does your laptop turn on with just the battery present and no power cable plugged in? So try that first. If it doesn't turn on, then pull out the battery and plug the power cable directly into your laptop without the battery being present. If it turns on with the power cable and no battery, then it's most likely that the battery is damaged, and in this situation really your only option is to purchase a new battery for your laptop. A word of advice on this, do spend a few minutes shopping around online, because the price of batteries for laptops can vary quite widely. So a few minutes spent shopping around should save you quite a bit of cash and you should be good to go. So in this video we've looked at the steps you can take if your desktop or laptop won't turn on. I hope you found it helpful, and if you do find yourself in this situation, just simply follow the steps I've outlined in the video and you should be able to troubleshoot the problem quite effectively. Now, if you found this video useful, please consider liking and subscribing. I promise to deliver all of the tech and none of the stress, and again, I'll never make the tech more complicated than it needs to be. That's it for this video. Best of luck solving the problem if it's one that you encounter, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Ciao for now. Bye bye.